Hello, everybody. Josh here, and welcome back to your NXT post-show review. This time for September 9th, 2025, where I go over everything that happened on NXT from the matches to the promos to the segments. And like I mentioned, we will be going over WWE NXT that just went down, just wrapped up on September 9th, 2025. Um, if you were in the TikTok live, because I'm doing live watch alongs now for all of the shows during the week, then thank you so much for joining the live. And if you did join, make sure you're in there for tomorrow night when I go live for AEW Dynamite. And if I don't go live, I'll let everybody know throughout the day, maybe on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok itself. So make sure you follow me on all socials. They're all linked in the description below. So go ahead and check that out. I even have a whole link tree, so it's easier for everybody to find the socials. But everything is linked down below. Go follow the Instagram, the X, the TikTok, all that good stuff. I even have Facebook if the people still use that. So yeah, we're going to be going through WWE NXT. Before we get into that, though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. If you are subscribed, I apologize for not posting there in a few days. Just so many things been going on. Recently that I haven't even been able to have time to post on the Ko-Fi page, but I am looking to change that and post more frequently like I was not too long ago. So make sure you go check out the Ko-Fi page. You get early access to some podcasts and interviews like the one that I did with Destiny Wrestling promoter and owner Emilio. If you haven't checked that interview out, go ahead and check it out. We had a great 30-minute conversation. So go ahead and check it out. Without further ado, let's get into NXT that just went down. Um, we kicked the night off hot with Josh Briggs and Javon Evans. They both made their way out to the ring, and Javon Evans immediately jumped out, flew out of the ring, and took out Josh Briggs. They went on to have a pretty solid match. Towards the end of the match, I think there was some distraction with the referee, and Evans went for the cutter, and then Josh Briggs had brass knuckles, I believe it was. He had something, some sort of weapon, and then clocked Javon Evans in the jaw to pick up the win. Fantastic match. Both of these guys are fantastic wrestlers, and I will forever stand by the opinion that Josh Briggs is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the WWE. And he showed it here again. And I think that this guy is a guy that can win the NXT championship at some point in time. So yeah, fantastic match from both of these guys, and I'm curious to see where this goes from here. Do they run it back at NXT No Mercy? Maybe that's too soon. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this goes from here. Maybe they just run it back at NXT Homecoming next week. By the way, completely forgot that NXT Homecoming was next week. So yeah, we have NXT Homecoming, and we got a lot of things on NXT Homecoming on this episode of NXT that we are going to get into. So yeah, Josh Briggs and Javon Evans put on a really good match. We had a backstage segment with Femi and Ricky Saints. They were talking to Ava. Trick Williams came into the locker room and pretty much asked Ava if everything's good to go. Ricky Saints was confused on what was going on and asked what they had planned. Trick Williams said this is championship business, something you'll never know about. Um, and yeah, got into a bit of a confrontation. Then Trick Williams walked away. So not much from that backstage segment there. We then had DIY come out and cut a promo, obviously talking about Trick Williams and the altercation last week, where Trick Williams was calling himself the greatest wrestler of all, not all time, the greatest NXT wrestler of all time. Trick Williams then came out and interrupted him, and then out came Carmelo Hayes, who Trick Williams did bring out. However, Carmelo Hayes, and this is what I was confused about when Carmelo came out. I was shocked. If you were in the TikTok live, you would have saw my shocked reaction. But I was a bit confused because I'm like, okay, are they leaning towards a Carmelo Hayes face turn still, or what's going on? But then when he got in the ring, he went up to Trick Williams and he said, everything you've been doing is just not been good. You know, you're calling yourself the greatest NXT wrestler of all time when you're standing in the ring with DIY and me. So, you know, you shouldn't be calling yourself that. Trick Williams was like, and then Carmelo Hayes brought up all the things that Trick Williams has said about Melo. DIY got involved and Carmelo Hayes got defensive. In the grand scheme of things, at the end of the promo, they made the challenge to Trick Mellow Gang for NXT Homecoming. DIY and Trick Mellow Gang next week is official. It is happening. So that's going to be a pretty solid match. That's going to be a really interesting one to see develop. I'm really interested in how they. I don't think interested is the word. Kind of surprised actually that they booked NXT Homecoming and No Mercy on the same week, if I'm not mistaken, or within like very close to each other. Yeah, no. So NXT No Mercy's on September 27th, so not the same week, but very close to each other. So I don't know if that's gonna work out in their favor. It might. They'll probably work around it. It's very possible because it's only a week difference, and they still have another episode of NXT to build things. But it's a PLE at the end of the day, and it needs time to develop. And we really only have Obafemi and Ricky Saints set for that show. And on this episode of NXT, we only got Ricky Saints and Obafemi talking backstage, and then Trick Williams interrupted, like I just mentioned. So there's been really no build for that. And like, if you can even call it a build, it's just been them talking and getting to altercations. I know that they had the brawl last week, but and then they were just in the same room talking. Like they didn't just have a brawl last week. So I don't know how the build I feel about the build. But that is what it is. But we didn't have much with Obafemi and Ricky Saints on this episode, but they were there obviously. So yeah, the challenge was made. It's made official. We then had the Speed Women's Championship tournament match. It was Fabia Pachi taking on Lainey Reed, and you know, going into this, I completely forgot about the speed rules and that this is 3 minutes. But yeah, Lainey Reed picked up the win with some help from Natalia, who Natalia will be taking on Fabio Paci this Friday at Worlds Collide. So, you know, I guess made sense she was there. I had no idea that was the match that is happening at Worlds Collide. I have no idea what the match card actually is yet. I haven't even looked at the full match card. So I might do a predictions video for that. Maybe I'll do it. We can't do it on the headlines because we do that on Saturday. So maybe I'll do a predictions video for it. Maybe I'll just do a TikTok for it. I'll see. I haven't fully made up my mind yet. I have a couple days still. But yeah, Lainey Reed defeated Fabia Paci to, you know, move on to the tournament, and she will be facing Candice LeRae. I can't remember when that match is happening. Is it happening at NXT Homecoming? I can't fully remember. I don't know if they did announce it and I missed it because I was doing some other things. But yeah, Lainey Reed will be taking on Candice LeRae to determine the next Speed Women's Championship, or who's going to be taking on Sol Ruka for the Speed Women's Championship. My brain is just clustered. See, I even forgot that Sol Ruka was actually the Speed Champion, even though she had both titles today on NXT. It's like, oh my goodness. Zaruka was getting hyped with Hank and Tank backstage for the match. We then had a NXT Tag Team Championship match. Dark State defending against Hank and Tank. Cutler James said Joe Hendry's name once again, and he appeared. And no, Joe Hendry didn't appear here. Joe Hendry appeared, but it wasn't enough. Dark State still capitalized and retained the tag titles, which I fully expected to happen. In terms of the match itself, it was fine. There wasn't anything really special about it. I haven't really been enjoying Dark State or Hank and Tank as a whole, and like not as I didn't enjoy the Hank and Tank title reign. I like them as a tag team. They're fun. They're funny. This match was okay at best. It seemed like the crowd was behind Dark State, so it seems like they're getting behind them. So yeah, I still don't know how I feel about them. They're still maybe slowly growing on me. maybe if they can win some more matches after this and not just get pinned for no reason, like WWE seems to like having their champions be pinned, then maybe they'll grow on me. Maybe they'll get better. They had a pretty solid promo last week. Yeah. So Darkseid retains the NXT Tag Team Championships. We had NXT Anonymous, who I completely forgot existed, posted a video of Ethan Page talking to Miles Bourne backstage, and Ethan Page was pretty much telling him like, "You lost last week, can't let this keep happening." Trying to get Miles Bourne to go to the dark side, and um, and wrestling terms, turn heel. So Lexus King was watching that, and he was with Charlie Dempsey in the locker room, and he was pretty much saying that, "Oh, how did Miles Bourne lose to a blind guy? You need to give him some more advice, Charlie." Then Miles Bourne walked in the room, turned the lights out, and just beat the hell out of Lexus King with a steel chair. Um, this feud is just funny, and I feel like it shouldn't be this funny, but it just is. It's entertaining. As like crappy as it is, it's still somewhat entertaining. And I don't understand how that's the case, but it is what it is. They're obviously going to run that back, and maybe they run it back at No Mercy. I don't think that's really a No Mercy kind of match. That could just be done at maybe NXT Homecoming or maybe the week after that. Um, yeah, I can't even remember the full NXT No Mercy card off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, we had that. Then we had the flag match between Tavion Heights and Ethan Page, where Tavion Heights won the match, obviously by pulling the United States flag down. Um, After the match, however, Tavion was celebrating, and Tyler Breeze came out. Tyler Breeze music hit. He came out and he was posing over Ethan Page, with his like little selfie stick. And yeah, Tyler Breeze is back. And now next week at NXT Homecoming, it's going to be Tyler Breeze taking on Ethan Page for the NXT North American Championship, which is a very, very um, interesting pick. I definitely didn't expect Tyler Breeze to return here. And there were a couple other surprises here that I didn't expect for sure as well, that I'm going to get into in just a little bit. Um, so yeah, Tyler Breeze posed over Ethan Page. We then had a video package once again for Lola Vice going back to her hometown, visiting her dad at the like Taekwondo studio, and really just digging into her background. We heard from Lola's sister. We heard from her father. All of this is really making me seem like she might win the title at No Mercy. But then again, WWE has done this before. They have, done this exact thing just for the person to lose. And I can really see WWE doing the typical thing where the challenger can never win the title on the first try for some reason. It always has to be on the second try. So I can see JC Jane still retaining at No Mercy, but Lola Vice getting another shot sometime down the line and winning it there. I like Lola Vice. Lola Vice is really cool. She's good in the ring. She has the look and she's cool. So you know what? If they want to put the NXT Women's title on her, sure, go for it. It's about time she gets a NXT Women's Championship shot anyway. And if they want to put that title on her, if they feel confident enough to do so, then we will see where it takes us, man. So yeah, happy for Lola Vice, especially if she's gonna be able to win that NXT Women's Championship at No Mercy. I don't know. There's like nobody else lining up. However, we need some confrontation. These promo packages are just not gonna do it. And this is the problem I was mentioning earlier with having NXT Homecoming and No Mercy so close to each other. Because this episode of NXT was just a build for NXT Homecoming. There was little to no build for NXT No Mercy. And which just leaves them. So NXT Homecoming is like, it's a special event. It's not a pay per view or like PLE, but it's not a regular NXT show. It's just, it's a special event. So they may not have much build for No Mercy then either. So that really just leaves them with the go home show. And they're going to have to build for NXT No Mercy on just that show. And I just don't think that's going to do it. That's not going to do it. If anything, and as cool as, the ending was, Lola Vice could have been added to that. And I will get into that. But we need some confrontation between Lola Vice and JC Jane. Something like at least a segment or something, a promo. Um, like they haven't even had a backstage confrontation since Lola won that number one contenders match. So, um, yeah, from my knowledge, I don't think they have. And if they have, it hasn't been major. We need something major. We need a major confrontation. We need to really believe that Lola Vice can win. Showing promo packages of her upbringing and her sister and her dad is not believable enough for us. We need to see her competing. We need to see storyline development between JC and Lola so the fans can really get behind her as that underdog, which it seems like they're pushing. But in my opinion, they're not writing it properly. It just seems really lazy, to be honest. Um, but then we went to the main event of the evening, which was the Women's Tag Team Championship number one contender triple threat elimination tag team match. That was a lot. That was a mouthful. Um, there was the Culling, Fatal Influence, and Zaruka. Obviously, Izzy Damon, Tatum Paxley of the Culling, so Zaruka and Zarya, and then Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix of Fatal Influence. In the end, the Culling picked up the win by pitting Fatal Influence. Um, Zaruka were the first team eliminated because Sol Ruka accidentally hit Zarya with a Soul Snatcher. I'm hoping that this means we're, a step closer to the turn from Zarya and we get Zarya versus Sol Ruka eventually for that NXT Women's North American Championship because, in my opinion, it has to be Zarya. It has to be Zarya that dethrones Sol Ruka. I've been saying that for months and I still stand by that, especially after this. It seems like that may be the route that they're going to take. Um, but yeah, it needs to happen. They just need to act on it quicker. And yeah, but then after the match, JC Jane was pissed off. She wasn't happy about Fatal Influence losing. She's pretty much saying that she carries Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley, and that she's the greatest NXT Women's Championship champion of all time. Out comes Stephanie Vaquer, who didn't show up on Raw last night for the contract signing, but is here on NXT. Shows up on NXT and tells JC that JC did beat her for the NXT Women's title, but that doesn't mean she's the greatest. And then she asks JC if she knows what time it is. Out comes Stephanie Stratton. It's Stephanie time. Stephanie Stratton comes out with Stephanie Vaquer. Um, JC Jane calls them senior citizens, or super seniors or whatever, and just like high school like graduates that are coming back and being super seniors or something along those lines. Um, and then Rhea Ripley comes out as the third person. So they end up brawling. They issue the challenge to Fatal Influence for NXT Homecoming. A super team, by the way. Vaquer, Ripley, and Stratton is absolutely insane. There's no reason that Fatal Influence should be winning that match. Realistically, as talented as Fatal Influence is, there's no reason that they should be winning that match. The only storyline aspect of it I can see is that Fatal Influence is an established team, so that way they have more chemistry. But in terms of just star power, the Fatal Influence realistically shouldn't win this match, and they may not. I feel like NXT Homecoming is going to be very like feel good moments and things along those lines. And their idea of heat is going to be Ethan Page retaining over Tyler Breeze, which we're all expecting to happen. I don't expect Tyler Breeze to win that title at all. Um, but yeah, overall, NXT was pretty solid tonight. I will give it to them. It wasn't a bad show at all. It's better than what they've done in previous weeks. I enjoyed NXT tonight more than I enjoyed Monday Night Raw last night. Um, yeah, solid show from them tonight. Uh, yeah, I don't really have anything else much to say. Good matches as well. The flag match was okay. Josh Briggs and Javon Evans was definitely the match of the night. The way they kicked that off was fantastic. And the women's number one contender triple threat match to the main event was absolutely fantastic as well. That may have been the match of the night, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, they kicked the night off hot. They ended the night off hot. That's all you can ask for, really, man. In between, there were some ups, there were some downs, there were a little bit of bumps, but it's NXT at the end of the day. But Yeah, they really built for NXT Homecoming. This was really for the crowd for these returns and all this stuff. The returns to NXT like DIY, Carmelo Hayes, Vaquer, Ripley, Stratton. So yeah, a lot of returns happened tonight, and yeah, pretty stacked episode of NXT here tonight. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. I just still stand by my opinion about that NXT Homecoming and No Mercy maybe a little bit close to each other. That's why I was kind of baffled that I saw that NXT Homecoming was next week. I'm like, oh wow, that is really close to No Mercy. And this episode was just building to NXT Homecoming and not No Mercy, which could be a problem for them in the end, because they're gonna have a lot of stories that just don't have much behind them at NXT No Mercy, and that's your big show. Um, but yeah, let me know what you guys thought about NXT tonight from the September 9th, 2025 episode. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. The YouTube channel is not the only way you can let me know your thoughts, though. You can let me know over on Spotify, as I mentioned in all the post shows. These post shows for the weekly shows are not on Spotify, only on YouTube, but everything else is on Spotify. So make sure you go and check those out. Go check out the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. Go check out the Instagram, the X, the Facebook if you want. Go check out the TikTok. I'm, pretty consistent over there on TikTok, and I post a lot of content there. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, that I am going live for the weekly shows now. So make sure you guys go check that out. And with that being said, I'm going to sign off for the night. I'm going to go relax, and I'm going to get set for AEW Dynamite tomorrow night. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.